Okay. So, Holly, we're not quite at 11, so let's give everybody a couple minutes and then we'll go into our spiel.
Okay. At least you just give me
The
let's
high sign.
yeah.
I can't believe it's almost April. I don't know where the time goes.
You know what? March is just a blur between I feel like spring break and tax season and like warm weather. I don't know.
I know, and we got such a spring tease here. It was like 65 for a
Mm.
week, and now it's back to 45, and
I
it's hard.
mean, it's weather, we went out of town. It was nice and warm. Come back to like cold weather. When we left, it was warm here. We had like the nice warm weather. We came back to like nasty, rainy, cold weather. So it's not fun at all.
I know, it's that early spring where any blip of nice weather you get so excited and then it's just gone.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I keep thinking like maybe I'll start like gardening or, but then I go outside, I'm like, it's still cold and nasty.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
and
All
plus I'm gonna
right.
kill everything.
So before we get started, Holly, anything we need to worry about? It looks like everyone's logging in. Um, I think we're ready to go.
Yeah, I think the main thing is just for everyone to be sure to grab pen, paper to take plenty of notes. We want to just make sure up front that you're aware that just due to compliance reasons, we have to turn off all the chats. And so we cannot answer questions during the presentation. But obviously, we put all our contact information at the end. We would love to hear from you. So if you have any questions, you can contact us through our social media accounts, through our emails, from our phone. There are many ways that you can reach out to us.
Absolutely. All right. So we are at 11:01 if you're in Holly's time zone, 1:01, and let's
Let's
get
hear-
started. All righty. So before we jump in, we have a lot of familiar faces on today, but we also have a lot of new faces. So we want to do a quick introduction of ourselves. I'm Elise Levy, and I'm located in Reno, Nevada. After spending many years working in the field of marketing, I wanted to find a job where I was actually helping people and making a real difference in their lives. And that's how I stumbled upon financial advising. So now I get the pleasure of working with my dad and my business partner, Mark Levy, at Legacy Wealth Planning, where I am inspired every day by the clients we work with. I love getting the chance to help them reach their retirement goals and dreams.
Hi, I'm Holly Henry. I'm actually from Hatfield, Arkansas, small town outside of Mena. So not only am I a financial advisor, I also spend my work days as a small business owner of a couple of different businesses. But most importantly, I'm a wonderful mother of two kids, Ryan and Ace. Backing up to being as a financial advisor, I work for River Valley Wealth Management that has an office in Hatfield and in Paris, Arkansas. Not only do I love my job because it's challenging, but most importantly, I get to just help empower those that are around me.
Well, Holly, as a small business owner, this is a perfect topic for
It
you.
is, and it's just near and dear to my heart. And I'm one of these people that probably need to be spoken to about this quite a bit. So I understand the struggles.
All right, so what are we talking about today?
So today we are going to be talking about basically retirement plans for the small business owners. And one of the reasons that we just wanted to talk about this is and this is a no judgment zone. I totally get it. We see business owners, they put all their revenue, all their assets back into their business, and that is their retirement plan because they feel like some of these plans may be too complicated. And so our goal is today is just to simplify and go over the all the options that you have that you may not be aware of.
Absolutely. I think that's perfectly said. This is kind of the demystifying of employer-sponsored retirement plans. All right, so let's dive in.
Okay. So before we jump into all the different options about retirement plans, we're going to take it a step back as to exactly why we're even here and just provide some context and perspective about this topic. So, an AARP study in 2022 revealed that nearly half the country's private sector employees between the ages of 18 and 64 don't have a work option to save for retirement. That's almost 57 million Americans. That's a lot of people. So, not many small businesses offer workers a 401k type retirement plan. More than half the people consider their businesses too small to qualify, and some say that they can't afford the match. And then there's even a small percentage that just think it's too expensive to set up and manage. So again, kind of what Elise and I said earlier, we're just wanting to offer variety of options for you to consider, and like she said, demystify some of the myths that are out there.
Absolutely. So why should you consider a retirement plan as a business owner? So you've invested a lot in your business already. One of the most important reasons you should think about a plan like this is the tax benefits it can save you a lot of money, potentially providing both you and your business more security down the road. The contributions you make can help reduce your current income taxes now, and your retirement account will have the potential to grow and compound tax deferred to boost your savings long term. So, this is really setting you up for long term success,
Mhm.
and also helping you in the short term as well. As referenced earlier, another important reason to add a plan is the support it demonstrates to your employees. It helps you reward employees by helping them prepare for the future, and it also attracts better talent. Nowadays, in the job market, it's super competitive to hire and to hire good quality people, and people are looking for the benefits that you offer as an employer. So, this is a really important tool as you're trying to attract the best people to work for you.
Okay. So we always kind of talk about retirement in this three-legged stool.
Which I'm not sure why we came up with this.
I'm not either. This probably wasn't the best example, but this was the example that we came up with. And so each leg represents what someone should have as they're planning for retirement. One leg is Social Security, one leg is retirement plans, another is personal savings. And so I'm going to first just talk about Social Security just a little bit. The average monthly payment right now is not even $1,700 a month. And so, again, I just want to remind everyone that Social Security was never meant to be the only source of income for retirees. It was meant to be part of this three-legged stool of income sources. And again, Social Security is just the first leg. And it never fails when Elise and I talk to some of our clients or potential clients. A lot of them are relying a huge part on their Social Security. And that's just not how it was meant to be.
Mhm.
So the second leg is made up of a person's personal savings, investments, which could include their savings account, stocks, bonds, real estate, cash value life insurance, policies, taxable investment accounts, IRAs, Roth IRAs, basically any asset that you want. And then that third leg is where these small businesses come in, the employer responsible plan. So the third leg was originally called the pension leg when the three-legged stool term became popular in the late 1940s and 50s. See, this term was not something that Elise and I came up with. This was something that
I know we need a young, cool, hip term.
we would have come up with something better than a stool. Um, but now that pensions are less common, in fact, it's rare to even really hear about pensions, except
Mhm.
maybe still in the teaching system, very popular.
Yeah, the government sector, I think, is like the last sector that really has this.
Yes, yes. Um, and so now this third leg relies on other company retirement plans such as the 401ks, the 403bs, the simple IRAs. And basically that's the reason why we're here today is to talk about the options that can fit into this third leg.
All right, well, thank you, Holly, for that info. So I guess we should actually talk about people's options.
There you go.
Maybe. Okay, so these are the options available to small business owners. We have a follow-up slide that's going to be more for the self-employed. So just bear with us while we go through this all. So as small business owners, you have several options at your disposal based on what you're kind of looking to achieve. I think a big misconception is the 401k is your only option and nothing else is out there. I think both Holly and I have met with people that didn't know that there was anything beyond that. So the first option is under that IRA-based plans is a payroll deduction IRA. So even if you don't want to adopt a retirement plan as an employer, you can actually allow your employees to contribute to an IRA through payroll deductions. So that just provides a simple, direct way for them to save, and it's really no skin off your back. You're not paying anything, you're not doing any maintenance. It's pretty simple. So the next option is a little more complicated or just a little bit more high level. And a simple IRA is for employers with 100 or fewer employees. Once you get over that 100 mark, it's no longer available to you. So this is really geared more towards small businesses. And this plan allows employees to contribute a percentage of their salary each paycheck and requires employer contributions. So if you're doing this plan, you do have to do a match up to 3%. That's one of the requirements. And then the next option is a SEP IRA. So this is employer contributions only. It really works for the self-employed, and we'll get to reasons why on the next slide. But if you're doing this as an employer, it's a really good option for nonprofits or private schools, situations where maybe the salary is less for your employees than an industry average. So you want to provide that extra incentive to do the work. And so you'll be contributing for your employees. The employees do not have to contribute to this plan. They can if they want to in the form of IRA contributions, but it's optional, unlike the other options. And then we have our favorite, the big 401k that everybody talks about. So this is where employees can choose to defer a portion of their salary, even on a dollar basis or on a percentage basis. And so instead of receiving that amount in their paycheck today, the employees can contribute that amount into a 401k plan sponsored by their employer. 401k plans can vary significantly. So there are all kinds of different variations as far as matching, vesting. There's so many options. So we're not going to get totally into that today, into the weeds. We're going to kind of stay surface level. And then another one you might see is profit sharing. So this actually permits employers to make large contributions for employees. And it's actually at the owner's discretion. So they can do it 1 year if they have a really great year and divide up those profits amongst their employees. Maybe next year was a really hard year, COVID pandemic, something like that. They can say, we're not doing any profit sharing this year. So those are the basic options.
Yeah. I'm sorry, before
No,
you
go for it.
before you go on this slide, one of the things that Elise and I wanted to just make sure to drill home is that the IRAs, as far as fees, they're very cost effective, very, very simple to implement. The 401ks, they can be expensive. They can be very expensive fast because of the third party administrator that's got to be a part of this. I met with one of my clients earlier this year that just knew that they were going to get a 401k. And then when we sat down with it and I started talking about having to get a third party administrator and sometimes the costs that are related to it, it can get almost overwhelming for small business owners. And especially if you know most people aren't going to contribute maybe more than their 3%, you're not looking to contribute more than 20,000. Which is what a 401k can, then normally these IRAs play a huge part in this. Again, very simple, doesn't have the record keeping, doesn't have the third party administration like the way the 401k can.
Absolutely. And we'll get into those contribution limits too, because I think that is a huge deciding factor when you're thinking about which plan is right for you. And this is all just information. You know, if you have a business and you want to come talk to us, please do, because we really need that sit down meeting to really know what we're looking for. Because if you have a big plan that third-party administrator is actually key for when you get audited or things like that, because they're going to be a great record keeper and keep everything perfect and exactly what the IRS wants. But when you have those smaller plans, it's not as big as a concern.
No, and I will say it's really easy to move from a small plan to a 401k. So if you're just kind of starting out and you're not 100% sure which way to go, that's an easy transition. It's a very hard to go from a 401k though down to a smaller plan.
Absolutely, yes. All right. So, as you can tell, we love to talk.
This one's going to be much shorter because I feel like we pretty well went over everything on the other slide. So these are the options that are available to the self-employed. And I don't want to repeat everything because Elise knocked it out of the park talking about the SEP IRAs and the simple IRAs. Those are offered to both categories. But on this, we also can offer a solo 401k. And the main difference here is a solo 401k is for a self-employed individual that has no employees and are owner only businesses. Now, I will say the one exception to that is the owner's spouse may participate, I'm tongue tied, in this plan if they are a compensated employee of the business. The great thing about this plan is employers may contribute up to 25% of the compensation. So there's a larger match there that's available.
Absolutely. And once again, I think I'm just going to talk about Sapphires because they are such a great tool. And where we see them really effective is like real estate agents,
Hmm.
hairdressers, those things that you are self-employed and you want to save a lot of money. And just like the 401k that Holly was mentioning, you can do 25% of your earned income up to, I think it's 68 or 67,000 a year. So it's a huge savings opportunity for our self-employed people.
Yeah, and again, even the solo 401k requires a third-party administrator. And again, not that it's a bad thing, but it is not as cost effective as what a SEP IRA may be.
Absolutely. And these are also great conversations to have with your CPA or your accountant.
Mhm.
And that's definitely somewhere where Holly and I can step in and have those discussions because we know what's best as far as being aggressive and saving and what account's going to do the right thing. And then your accountant, we can go back and forth with them and have a meeting with them and really get on the same page so that when you're filing taxes every year, it's really clear what's happening. So you know from the investment side and the tax side that you're making the right choice. All right, so let's get into the numbers a little bit. The first number you see up there is 401k. Now, these are all numbers for 2024. They increase every year. Maybe not the same amount, maybe not perfectly, but you always want to check because the numbers do change. So for 401k, you can put away up to 23,000 a year. And then there's also a catch-up contribution limit. And that starts when you're 50. So if you're 50 and over, you can do that additional 7,500, which is really, really great and something to take advantage of. Now, why we want to pull up these numbers, because you need to see the differences. When we look at IRA contributions, we can see that's a much smaller number. So if you are going through that payroll deduction route, that's great, but know that your employees are only going to be able to save that 7,000 a year. So that might be something to consider. Moving on to the simple IRA, that's a little bit higher number, which is why it's so attractive. It's 16,000. And then, as we mentioned before, that SEP IRA is 25% of your income or 68,000, whichever number is greater. Holly, anything to add as we're looking through these numbers?
No, I think I just again want to kind of talk about situations where we have had individuals come to us and these contribution limits were the deciding factor of which plan that they went with. In fact, it was a very, very small business, but they needed to max out for tax purposes. Like for this year, the full $23,000. And so for them, the other plans just were not going to work. And so these are contribution limits that play a huge factor in determining which one may be the best fit for your business.
Absolutely, because you're keeping in mind what you need as the owner, like what you're planning to put away, and then also what your employees are planning to put away. So it's a big discussion that needs to happen.
Mhm.
All right, so we are your plan experts. So I think a lot of people, when we start talking about these plans, they ask, well, how do you play into it? How does Elise and Holly play into the development of this plan? Well, because there is a lot that goes into creating a plan and keeping a plan. So why should you work with Holly or myself instead of trying to figure it out yourself? Because you should be focused on what's actually important, running your business. And you can leave your retirement plan in good hands with us. We'll guide you through each step of setting up the plan and work with a third-party administrator when that's applicable. And the best part, it doesn't stop there. Once the plan is established, we actually meet with all of your employees. Generally, we do a general meeting and then do one-on-ones with your employees to really decide what is right for them, what they're going to be contributing, and really make sure they understand what's happening. Because every time we go in, there are so many questions. And even if we're super thorough in our presentation, every individual meeting, we have a lot of questions, right, Holly?
Oh, absolutely. And I do want to mention that we don't force these employees to meet with us. There's some
No,
people that just absolutely do not want to, and we respect that. But I do find that the ones that are willing to, um, we answer all sorts of questions for them that goes even outside the scope of the retirement plan. So it is definitely worth the time for people to just come and, if nothing else, introduce themselves.
absolutely. And what we found, we just did a new 401k plan a couple months ago. And what we ended up doing is we did the meetings in person. And then if people did want to meet with us individually, we did it over Zoom. And it really worked for everyone's schedules because, when you're at your work, you're worrying about work and you don't really want to worry about talking to us. But why it's so great is instead of you as the business owner having to answer all these questions like, can I contribute this much? What are the limits? Da, 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 da. You know, they call us, they email us, and we get to be that person for you. So we really become a member of your team and take that hat away from you so you can focus more on your business and growing it. Oh, and Holly, why is it so great to work with us? Number one reason.
So one of the things that we do for every one of our clients, whether it is someone that's part of a retirement plan or not, is we do financial planning for them. And this slideshow, it just shows a few examples of what is included in a financial plan, which, by the way, can be several pages long. So this is truly just a small glimpse of what we offer to our clients. So with this, you always get a balance sheet that shows your net worth and how your assets are allocated. The top right picture shows what your portfolio would be valued over a lifetime. And this takes into consideration at what age you are wanting to retire. The final chart shows where the money will be received, whether it's your salary or your Social Security. And withdrawals are taken into consideration too. And I will say, with the financial planning, one thing that I found really key is we make sure people are taken care of in even just the Social Security, whether it's assisting them in setting up a Social Security profile. We answer questions of when they is the best age for them to start receiving Social Security, whether that's at full retirement age, whether it's later, whether it's early. We answer an entire array of questions, and normally we get these answers from the financial plan that we develop for them. And mainly this financial plan, it helps to answer the main question that we get, which is, do we have enough money to retire? Or how long will my money last during retirement?
Absolutely. And I think another great thing that the plan kind of gives you is what a reasonable, realistic budget is for retirement, what you can really be spending every year. And that's why I love that cash flow overview because you're seeing where your money is actually coming from to provide that salary in retirement. You're spending money. All right, moving on. So, of course, you need a financial planner with your plan. We've done that. But why do you need a financial advisor beyond your plan? Well, a big one is planning for retirement. So there's about a 60% chance that a 65-year-old couple will have one spouse reach the age of 90. We've seen in the past couple decades, people are living longer and longer, especially women. So it's actually pretty normal to start planning to live to 92, 94, and healthy. So that means you're going to spend over 20 to 30 years in retirement. So that means you need to have an income that's
Mm.
going to get you through that long period of time. So, and what we say is your money needs to outlive you. That's the ultimate goal here. So it's not an easy thing to accomplish, but that's where we can come in. We can't predict the future, but we can help you prepare for it. So Holly and myself can help you plan ahead and help you stay on track. I think the last couple years have been so up and down, the news, the media, there's so
Mm.
many things swirling around. So it's good to have someone you can rely on. 84% of those working with an advisor said that working with an advisor gave them a greater sense of financial comfort during the COVID pandemic. Because that was a really scary time for a lot of people, especially people who were either retiring or in retirement. So during those times of market volatility, it can be tough to keep your emotions in check and not let them drive your investment decisions. If you work with us, we can help you develop a customized investment strategy based on your goals, time horizon, and of course your risk tolerance. And we can be there for support, and you're less likely to react to those extremes ups and downs that the market has over time. And we also help our clients by working with accountants, estate attorneys, and insurance specialists to create comprehensive plans. So it's not just the investments we handle, we really work with you in every part of our life. And for those people who work with us with an employer sponsored plan, we really consider you our clients and we
Mhm.
want to provide beyond just that plan.
So here is a great example of reasons to start saving now. And especially for those of you that may have young employees that just do not want to start thinking about retirement. I mean, obviously, most 20-year-olds are not sitting here thinking that they need to set aside money for retirement. But this chart right here, it shows how much harder your money works for you when you give it time to grow. Um, and it's not all about money, as most of you know. So let's say, for example, the person who starts by investing $142 a month 40 years before retirement probably has just a lot more peace of mind and a lot less anxiety during their career than the person who's waiting till 55. And again, this is a non-judgment zone. We're not judging you. I mean, if you haven't started planning for retirement and you're 55, it's better late than never. It just means we're going to have to work a little bit harder, but it's time. It's time for you. It's time for your employees. No matter what age you're at, we're here to help you start developing a plan, but it is time to quit putting this off.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings us to our next slide. Start preparing for retirement today for yourself and your employees. So how
Mhm.
do they do that, Holly?
Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is you've got to set up a meeting with us. I mean, it's sometimes the hardest step is just taking the first step, and we get that. Sometimes you don't know what to say. We're pretty easy to talk to.
I think
We're
so.
very, we're very easy to set up an appointment, so you don't have to come to our office. I mean, you can. We welcome that. But if time's an issue, we love Zoom, obviously. So we do Zoom, we do phones, we do office visits. This can take maybe about an hour. We're going to ask several questions and try and figure out what you want. The great thing about this is there's no cost. This is just kind of a get to know you to see what you're thinking, to see if it's a best fit for you. There's no commitment. So we will tell you here's all the information and it's up to you to decide whether you take it or leave it. We're not going to hound you. We're not those type of people. Again, virtual or in person because we do both. And the main thing is this is an opportunity for us to get to know each other. So from that point on, if you decide to move forward, then we do pick out the best account that works for you or your employees both. Then we start doing some financial planning that involves around you and your businesses. And then when all that's done, we still stay in touch. So we check in on a regular basis to see if you as a business owner or your employees have any questions. We at least meet once a year face to face, but there are some businesses that want us in there every 6 months, which is fine. I've got some employees that we're touching base because they're nearing retirement once a month just to make sure that everything is up to date. So really we just kind of go with the flow and however you develop the plan.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And so how do you get in contact with us? Well, as you can see, we're really available and it's really easy to get in contact with us, but don't go scribbling all this down. We're going to email it to you directly after our webinar is done. But really, follow us on social media. We love hearing from all of you guys, and we just love getting to know the audience a little bit better and getting feedback on what you guys want to hear because this is really for you. We just want to give realistic, down to earth information about investing and hopefully get you better prepared for the future.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we also have a quick little plug before we let you go. As some of you may know, we launched a new newsletter and podcast this year. Our webinar took off last year and we got such positive feedback that we just wanted to continue growing. This is a great once a month newsletter that just provides really solid information and it's really directed to the women that we know and love, these powerful women who wear many hats from the family chauffeur to the CEO of family finances to working a demanding job to trying to balance self-care. So we know it's really easy to overlook your finances and to let it slip to the wayside. And that's where this newsletter comes in. Holly, can you share a little bit more info on it?
Yeah, so one of our main questions that we get is how much does it cost? It doesn't cost anything. This is something that Elise and I developed because we're just very passionate about just helping those that are around us. So this is something that we just want to provide to ensure that everyone is taking the necessary steps to protect the assets that we know that you have worked so hard for to establish, whether that's a thriving business or even a beautiful home. Another information about this is if you're wanting to sign up, you can just email us your email address, or if you get on either one of our social media accounts, there's tons of posts about this. So you can click on the link and go right to the sign up page. Just remember, you're only going to be receiving one email a month from us. We are not going to hassle you. There's no other solicitation unless you just reach out to us directly with questions.
Absolutely. All right, so thank you so much for attending the event. Here are some required disclosures we have to include, but keep checking your emails for more webinars in 2024. And if you want a specific topic covered or there's something just on your mind, we'd love to hear from you and we really appreciate it. All right.